What's up, everybody? Welcome to iOS 3 Raw TV. Well, this is going to be one of those videos that many of you are just not going to like, but it doesn't change the facts. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's not reality and it doesn't really happen. So we're going to cover two quick things tonight with caffeine. And what's interesting is when I came out and talked about stims and coming off stims, etc., completely, I got bombarded with emails, with fucking messages. It was crazy how fast it happened. Even people coming up to me in the gyms and literally talking to me about what was going on with them in caffeine and how they had to get off stims. So the first thing I want to kind of throw out there is we're going to talk about vasoconstriction and caffeine. And I actually see these companies out there talking about, well, our fucking product only has like, let's say it's 200 milligrams. And actually, I think it was like 300 milligrams or so. Anyway, I've seen 200 to 300 milligrams in between, everything in between, about how it's not enough to cause vasoconstriction. So it's in your pre-workout, but it's not enough to cause vasoconstriction, which means that it doesn't constrict the blood vessels, which the constricted blood flow doesn't allow the blood to get through the capillaries properly to feed the nutrients as well as give you the pump. But it gives you a stimulant because it's got caffeine. Now, here's what the truth is. So the actual truth is, if you wake up with a headache and you have this caffeine withdrawals, etc., or let's say you just wake up with a regular headache, and you take 2 sips of coffee, not even, just 2 gulps, two little gulp, gulp, your headache starts to go away. That's because the vasoconstriction is already happening from that little amount of coffee. So it actually takes very little caffeine to cause vasoconstriction. Now, what I was reading about the studies said that it was a regular cup of coffee, and about halfway through the cup of coffee, it would cause vasoconstriction enough to where you wouldn't have a headache, and it would impede performance of the capillaries in veins and stuff, but you'd have more energy. So it's weird because you don't really feel the fact that it's not making you energetic through moving the blood through your veins, which helps carry the glucose and everything else, because the central nervous system is so strong, stimulant is so strong from it, you don't feel it. But what's really going on is you have a false sense of energy. It's a stimulation to the central nervous system. It's not energy. It's more of a blast of adrenaline type feeling that you get, which will let you continue to move and do what you need to do. But what's happening inside is not only not optimal, but it's actually slowing you down from getting muscle gains. So the more stims you take, the more vasoconstriction happens, the less gains you're going to make, the harder it is for your body to recover afterwards. Now, half a cup of coffee would have maybe 50 milligrams of caffeine. Now, that's on par with the Diet Coke. Some people will drink a Diet Coke to get rid of the headaches. They had, is it 20 milligrams of caffeine or 100 milligrams? Whatever it is, it's an Excedrin. I cannot remember the exact dosage, but it's well under 200 milligrams. And that's in Excedrin to cause the headaches and migraines and stuff to go away because of vasoconstriction. So if these companies are out there talking about how their product doesn't cause vasoconstriction, number one, they could be completely fucking clueless, which in some case, if you're feeding people products and making them and you're that fucking clueless, that's dangerous. Or number two, they're fucking lying to keep selling you shit. They're trying to kind of persuade you in one direction that's not a real thing and get you to believe them, okay? So that's vasoconstriction. That is happening with caffeine, and it is not a good thing. Just because your fucking headache goes away doesn't mean as a bodybuilder or even for long-term health that you want vasoconstriction happening. Now, because remember, as vasoconstriction happens, those capillaries start to shrink up or reduce in size or constrict, blood pressure goes up, and you now have high blood pressure. Whether you fucking believe it or not, that's what happens. So you can actually cause yourself high blood pressure if you're one of these people who drink the stimulants all day long. It's a self-induced high blood pressure, which is not fucking good, but they never talk about this shit. It could be up to 6 hours after you took your pre-workout, your blood pressure could be elevated. That's how long that could take to get out of your system. So, we're into some dangerous territories where people have ailments and they go to the fucking doctor, and a lot of times doctors tell you to cut out caffeine. They don't even tell you why. High blood pressure, cut out caffeine. Can't sleep, cut out caffeine. Anxiety, cut out caffeine. They tell you to cut it out because there's so many side effects that cause other effects that doctors know when you walk through the door. If you're taking a certain amount of caffeine, more than likely that is having an effect that is negative on you. But they don't actually tell you that, which is fucked up. So that's the first part. The second part, after my last video about the stims came out in caffeine, I had an individual contact me, and I never really looked too much into it because I don't have thyroid problems. My father did have thyroid problems, and he was on Synthroid, and I never really thought much about it. So he contacts me and says he went through this whole process with his doctors because he had hypothyroidism. His thyroid is fucked up. And they couldn't figure out what the fuck was wrong with him. They did all these tests. They put him on Synthroid. And on his own, he did the research. And then he started sending me the research that he found on his own. He sent all the links and stuff. And as it turns out, caffeine can shut your thyroid down. Not completely, but it can decrease thyroid activity. Which really made me step back and go, there's a lot more people nowadays on T4, Synthroid, than ever before. When I was a kid, yeah, there were people here and there that had to take it, but I didn't really start noticing that people were taking it until my dad had to be on it. Once my father had to be on it, then when people say, well, I take Synthroid, I take this, oh, you're on Synthroid too. I take Synthroid. Synthroid, fuck, there's a lot of people that are on thyroid medication. I'm like, did they have thyroid medication when I was a kid? They did. These people weren't on it. Those people weren't on it. Nobody was on it. I mean, there were, like I said, a few people here and there genetically that had to be on it, but it wasn't self-induced. Many people are on self-induced thyroid meds now because of caffeine, and they don't even know that's what caused it. I don't know whether the doctors know or they don't know, but the people themselves don't, and they continue drinking the coffee and the caffeine and continue having thyroid problems. So I wanted to put this out here, a few things that caffeine does after researching it much more. Again, if you're a caffeine freak, you are not going to like what I have to say, but it's the truth. And my idea is to give you guys the truth. Whatever you do with it, if you keep drinking coffee, I don't give a fuck. It's your choice. But at least you have the actual information that fucking you didn't have before to make a decision based intelligently on what you should do. Number one, caffeine increases blood sugar. Yes, it increases blood sugar. So it's almost like a self-induced type 2 diabetes that goes away if you stop taking the caffeine. So listen, studies have shown caffeine increases blood sugar levels, especially dangerous for people with hypoglycemia, who feel jittery, shaky, moody, unfocused when hungry. Blood sugar fluctuations cause cortisol spikes, which not only exhaust the adrenals, but also deregulate the immune system. This is highly undesirable for those with adrenal fatigue, Hashimoto's, Graves' disease. Cortisol spikes are also highly inflammatory. Listen, we talk about cortisol levels in bodybuilders. I tried to explain to you guys before, cocaine, stuff like that causes the cortisol to rise. So does caffeine in the exact same way. Creates sugar and carbohydrate cravings. Caffeine creates sugar and carbohydrate cravings, right? Do you ever think about that? How many people in the morning get up and drink their coffee, drink their coffee, drink their coffee? They can't control themselves later in the day. They're eating fucking cake. This is one of the reasons. This ain't the only reason, but one of the reasons. So now you have something that messes with people's thyroids, increases blood sugar, which type 2 diabetes has been huge in our society in the last 20 years. Something that creates cravings that you can't control that you wind up eating. Number three, contributes to acid reflux and damages gut lining. Think about the things that we have going on nowadays. Ulcers, there's a lot more ulcers now too. The gut lining. I'm sitting back going, this is not the only reason, but a major reason for ailments that are happening that doctors are not talking about. Scientists put the information out there, but doctors are not. And I don't know what the fuck is going on. I mean, they usually just tell you to cut it out, but why wouldn't you explain to the people and stress to them, here's the deal. Caffeine could be doing da-da-da-da-da-da. Instead, what they do is they go cut out caffeine, they prescribe you a medication, don't tell you anything, and you just wind up being on the meds for the rest of your life. Exhausts the adrenals. This is what I tried to tell you guys before. Adrenal fatigue is not a real thing, Jerry. Yeah, well, you can call it whatever you want, but the adrenals glands where your body starts to get depleted from too much adrenaline being pushed around the clock will cause issues. Coffee stimulates the adrenals to release more cortisol. This is partly why we experience a wonderful but temporary unstable burst of energy. What many of us don't realize is our tired adrenals are often the cause of unexplained weight gain, sleeping problems, feeling emotionally fragile, depression, and fatigue. Drinking coffee while experiencing adrenal fatigue is only adding fuel to the fire. People with Hashimoto's, they talk about Hashimoto's a lot in this too, causes estrogen dominance, thyroid nodules, worse PMS, and lumpy breasts. These are all things that are, it says it's well established that coffee contributes to estrogen dominance, which can lead to two things. Now, as a bodybuilder, we don't want estrogen dominance. We don't want our body to utilize estrogen better than it utilizes testosterone. It says we either have too much estrogen regulation or progesterone, or we have an imbalance in the estrogen metabolites. Some are productive and some are dangerous. Estrogen is specifically problematic for people with thyroid conditions. Again, you already have a thyroid problem due to the fact of the caffeine, and now you have this estrogen problem on top of it. And I've heard people actually say, well, you shouldn't eat soy protein or any of that stuff because it's a natural estrogen. It raises your estrogen, right? They stay away from soy as a source of protein, which I think is just fine, by the way, because estrogen has a natural estrogen and can cause high estrogen levels. But then they load themselves with caffeine that actually does the same exact fucking thing, and they don't even realize it. Gluten cross-reactive food. 50% of people with gluten sensitivities also experience cross-reactivity with other foods, including milk products, etc., etc. Many people are reporting the same reaction to coffee as they do gluten. So they're building up like an intolerance. It impacts T4 and T3 hormones. We just talked about that. Can cause miscarriages. Studies have shown that women who drink coffee during the pregnancy are at higher risk of miscarriage. All right, doctors do not tell you this. It says right here, why are the doctors not telling us this? Highly anti-inflammatory. Highly inflammatory, not anti. Highly inflammatory. Any functional integrate doctor would say that the majority of modern diseases are caused by inflammation, a smoldering invisible fire found around on a cellular level. Studies have found that caffeine is a significant contributor to oxidative stress and inflammation in the body. Chronic body pains, aches, fatigue, skin problems, diabetes, and autoimmune conditions are just some of the conditions related to inflammation. So while caffeine itself may not technically cause those, it is the spark that causes those eventually by your body breaking down due to the overstimulation of how caffeine works, right? People never even think to look in this shit. They just take everything on the market and don't think fucking once about what could be happening in their bodies. Now, let's take the health complications out of this. You're not going to be building fucking muscle. You're not going to be getting gains. You're not going to be getting results. If you're one of those people that are just super vain and don't care about your health, guess what? You're making less gains because of caffeine. And that's a fucking fact. That's a scientific, studied, published fact. What the fuck? Contribute to osteoporosis, can cause insomnia and poor sleep, which we already knew. So these are things that coffee can cause. Just coffee. And coffee doesn't have the same amount of caffeine that these fucking stupid energy drinks have, and the pre-workouts. I've seen the pre-workouts with, so they have a minimum of 200 milligrams of caffeine in it, which is more than the cups of coffee. But a lot of these have 200 to 400 milligrams of caffeine. I've heard people say, it's only 300 milligrams, it's not a lot of caffeine. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, that's almost enough to put me at cardiac arrest. Are you fucking kidding me? And plus they have yohimbe on top of it, which is a stimulant, and they have fucking all these other stims added to the fucking supplements. Now, we're focusing on caffeine specifically because caffeine, like, there's not a lot of studies done on, like, fucking yohimbe and shit like that as far as what it does to the body like caffeine does. But they've been studying caffeine so in depth that there's so much research out there. There's so many things out there that would say, listen, if you want to be healthy and get fucking muscle gains and not be an idiot, stop sucking down the energy drinks. Don't even do it. Like, fucking literally just suck it up, man it the fuck up, go to the gym and train. Stop being a pussy that needs a fucking pre-workout that's loaded with fucking stims. But that's not what happens because there's no money in that. You know what I mean? Imagine if these coffee companies all of a sudden came out and said, listen, our coffee might be fucking causing thyroid problems and blood sugar issues and fucking cortisol issues and all kinds of other shit. So drink at your own risk. Starbucks will be out of fucking business like tomorrow because people feel so shitty when they have these ailments that caffeine, they'll give up coffee in a fucking, no matter how addicted they are to coffee, if you tell them they're going to feel better, not have these problems and have to take medications that have side effects that make them feel like shit on top of it, they'll drop the coffee in a fucking heartbeat. It's like when somebody's fucking sick. If you ask them, laying there with the fucking flu and they're dying for the flu, they're like, oh my God, what would you do to get rid of the flu? Like, anything. I'll give you $1 million fucking dollars. I don't know. Like, once you have those ailments, you'll do anything to get rid of them. So if these things came out, coffee companies would fucking go bankrupt. These pre-workouts would sit on the fucking shelves. Whole companies would go out of business pre-workout wise because sometimes all they have is a pre-workout. They're banking on the fact that you're going to get stimulated out of your fucking skull and you will be addicted to that caffeine and have to buy their product over and over, which is why these companies keep cranking up the dosages. The ones with the higher dosages, people go, oh fuck, I can buy that one. I can do a half a scoop instead of a full scoop. It'll last me twice as long. Oh, I can buy this one. This one's got twice the amount of caffeine. I only have to take fucking half a scoop. It'll last me twice as long. And guess what? They get it on fucking sales. Buy 2, 1, get 1. So now I got 4 months worth of shit. And now what happens is they go back and they say, okay, well, this one's got 200 milligrams. No, the last one I had 400 milligrams. I want that one again. I want the best bang for my buck. That's why they keep increasing the dosages, trying to outdo each other. It's not about giving you a better workout. Fuck, how much caffeine do you need before you have a heart attack? It's not about that. It's about having the most in a product. So you say, oh, that has the most, I want it. If you've got a, if you're going to buy beer and you got these different malt liquors and stuff, a lot of guys go for, a lot of people go for the higher content alcohol. Why? Because you get fucked up faster. It's less money, you get fucked up faster, and it lasts longer. So be aware, guys, there's so many things going on right now with these companies trying to fucking get you addicted to a product that is going to have detrimental effects to your health. That is not going to let you get the gains you're looking for, why you're taking it in the first place. But they will never fucking tell you that. They will lie through their fucking teeth. And the worst part is some of them aren't lying. They just don't know. If I can sit here and do this fucking work, if that person that fucking had the thyroid problem that went to the doctor could do the research and find all this stuff, if these people that have done the research already can put it out, why the fuck are you guys not finding this shit? I realize it's because you don't think caffeine's a big deal because you're listening to what the fucking box tells you. Not me, the box. You're being a sheep. You're listening to what they tell you, being led by the fucking sheep herder. So right now you have a choice. Continue being a sheep, get fucked up and try to figure out why later on, or take control of your own health, take control of your own gains, take control of your own fucking life, and do the research yourself and decide what the fuck is best for you. But do not listen to these fucking companies. Literally, I read some of these things, and as soon as I read it from the company, I go, fuck, I go right online and start researching them and get the fuck out of my face, just in case I'm wrong. I want to make sure that I'm not wrong as I go fucking start researching these things to make sure that what they're saying is on the up and up. And 9 out of fucking 10 times what they're saying is completely contradictory to everything else that's out there. So I'm not saying it's my job to do this stuff, but I find it super interesting. And as I get older, I want better health. I want to live as long as I can. I want to live a happy and fulfilling life. I don't want to wind up in the hospital taking medications like my fucking dad had to take all the fucking time. That's not what I want out of my life. Another thing I'll be delving into, I actually talked to a scientist today. I've actually known her for a while. And she said flat out that many scientists are speaking out now against sweeteners. And the stuff that she had to tell me about this shit, I was like, what the fuck? So rather than even being like, you know, the caffeine thing, the sweeteners, people think I'm fucking crazy, but this is a fucking scientist. This is what, she's a biochemist. This is what she does for fucking living. Telling me, here's what real research says about these sweeteners and how it's skewed for the food companies and they fucking put it out. But the things that she was telling me, I was fucking floored. And I said, here's the deal. I haven't heard back from her yet today because I think she's still at work, but I want her just to come on Skype and we're going to hopefully film a Skype so she can explain it. Because if I say, like, Jerry, you're so bro, you're so wrong, you're so this woman is a scientist. This one's a biochemist. It's what she does for an actual job. She's a PhD. So for her to tell you what she is seeing and what she is reading and what people are talking about in the scientific community amongst themselves would be absolutely fucking amazing. So keep on a lookout for that one too. But for now, guys, my thing is caffeine is a fucking thumbs down. I'm so glad that I got off it. I have so much more energy. My wife, Erin, is off caffeine. A bunch of my friends have cut caffeine out. Tons of fucking viewers have because I get them literally coming up to me going, finally, like, I feel better. Like, I felt like shit. I couldn't figure out what's going on. I just thought, well, like, you know, I'm having a string of bad fucking months. Like, and then that moved in bad years. And I thought, fucking, maybe it's because I'm getting older. I'm like, you're 31. Like, there's so much fucking going on with the caffeine shit that we are so blinded by what we're taught on TV and the media and fucking, I don't want to say magazines anymore, but social media and fucking Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts and fucking all these companies. We're so fucking confused by what the fuck is really going on that there has to be one fucking lone voice out there. And it sucks because I don't want to be the lone voice. I don't want to spend my time doing this when I could spend my time doing something to be more creative, to create something to leave more of my legacy in this world. But nobody's going to do this. You guys need this information to be healthy. You guys need this information to get better gains. Without it, you're spinning your fucking wheels and hurting yourself. So I guess it falls upon me again this time, which, yeah, I guess I'm cool with that because now I know and I'm happy that I know this shit. So when someone asks me about it, I can speak intelligently about it and explain to them, hey, if you look this up and really dig, you know, all you have to do is fucking Google caffeine and thyroid. Google caffeine and thyroid problems. These fucking things will pop up and you're going to be like, what the fuck? And get this, even though the studies say coffee long-term is safe, every one of these studies that they did with caffeine was with coffee. And they're saying the coffee is causing this, the caffeine of the coffee, but the coffee. So that negates the studies that the other people did saying how safe coffee is long-term. We have the proof right here that it is not. Fucked up shit, guys. BioSuitTraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. BioSuitTraining.com is a vlog. It's the Caffeine is a No-Go Bicep, and we are out.